What's up, you guys? This is JP, and today we're going to talk about key points of the barbell RDL for beginners. So this is a new series that I'm starting where I go over key points or tips for various different exercises for beginner lifters, intermediate lifters, and advanced lifters. One thing to note is these are not tutorial videos. I'm not teaching you how to do an exercise from beginning to end and encompassing all the little things that make up that exercise. I feel like tutorial videos have been, they're everywhere. They've been just done so many times that I think there are a lot of good resources out there to help you learn, most exercises. And I'm not saying I won't do them at some point down the line, but I feel like right now that's not the most helpful to you guys. And I feel like this series is going to be a lot more beneficial to you guys because I'm going to be highlighting key points of the exercises that I think are going to help you at the various stages, beginner, intermediate, and advanced, master that specific lift. Another way to put this is I'm going to be, from my own viewpoint and my own opinion, and from my experience coaching people and from the knowledge base that I have, I'm going to be focusing on the things that I personally think matter more than other things for that particular exercise. So if I leave something out, I'm not saying that I'm not advocating for that. I just think that it's probably something about the exercise that's already been done and that most people know. Let me give you a quick example. Most people know to keep their back straight during an RDL. That's not going to be something that I'm going to be covering because, again, that's general stuff that's already in most tutorial videos for a barbell RDL. So I'm going to be focusing on the things that I think that'll help you at the various stages to learn that specific exercise, and I'm going to be going over a lot of different exercises at different time points. So again, this is just, again, me focusing on the main things that matter, and I'm going to be doing a beginner, intermediate, and advanced for different videos. So this video is just for beginners, and it's just to help you master the key points and the things that I think matter for a barbell RDL. So the first key point for the barbell RDL for beginners is to keep the bar close to your body. From my experience coaching and just seeing people work out in the gym, I think that this is the most common error for beginners. They let the bar drift away from their body. This is going to make the lift unnecessarily harder, and I think that if you don't control the bar placement, if you're just letting the bar go further away from you, closer to you, if this is something you don't kind of tackle early on, I think that when you get to heavier loads, this is something that if the bar drifts away from you real quick, and you're working with a heavy load relative to you, this is going to dramatically increase the demands on the low back musculature, for example. So if you're just letting the bar do whatever and one day you have a bad rep, the bar gets away from you too quick, it drifts too far from your body too fast, that's how you can tweak your low back, or you have a higher risk of tweaking something or pulling something like that. So on top of keeping injury risk lower from keeping that bar close to you, it's also going to increase performance while you keep the bar close to you, because again, it's going to have the greatest carryover to your conventional and sumo deadlifts. So for a safer lift and a more efficient lift, and a lift that's going to have better carryover to your primary lifts, your conventional deadlift and your sumo deadlift, you want to keep the bar close to you. The best way to do this as a beginner is to just slow down the lift when you're doing it. Don't go fast. Typically when you become more advanced, or you can master technique, you're good with technique, you might have different tempo, different workout tempo. You might go fast on the concentric, but when you're first learning the barbell RDL and you're trying to keep the bar close to you, go slow on the way down, go slow on the way up, and really just keep that bar over midfoot. There's a couple different ways you can say this. You want to keep the bar over midfoot, or you want the bar an inch away from your shins. But essentially, to simplify it, you just want the bar really close to you without it directly scraping up against your shins. Okay, so about an inch away from your shins is sufficient. But again, this is very important. Just master this. Go slow. You can also record yourself as well, and then rewatch the footage and see if it wobbled. So set up the camera from the side and see if it wobbled a little bit, or if it drifted away from you. Or you can kind of do the exercise but look at yourself from the mirror to see if the bar's staying close to you. But again, ultimately, that is probably the first tip and the first thing that I would focus on as a beginner, is just keeping that bar close to you. Don't let it drift away. All right, the second key point of the barbell RDL for beginners, and I say second key point, but this is kind of like 2 key points into one. So this is kind of like the second and third key point. But because this, tip that I'm about to give you kind of has 2 parts to it and they go hand in hand, I kind of put them into one tip or one key point. But you can kind of look at this as like tip 2 and 3. But the next tip is for you to sit back instead of down during the barbell RDL. And this is, again, an extremely common error I see from beginners, is that they want to turn the barbell RDL into a squat. They want to sit down or squat with the bar in their hands instead of hip hinge. And again, if you want the best results or the best gains from the barbell RDL, whether your goal is hypertrophy or whether you're using this barbell RDL as a secondary lift to improve your strength on the conventional deadlift or the sumo deadlift, you don't want to squat with the barbell RDL. You want to properly hip hinge when you're doing it. So again, the main thing is, the main tip to help you is to think about pushing your hips back and not down, okay? For this one, I would highly recommend you record yourself when you're doing the barbell RDL, or to look at yourself in the mirror. Recording is probably going to be better, so you don't have to keep looking at the mirror from the side. But either ways, your hips should only be going back and they should not be going down. If your butt drops when you're doing the RDL, if you're bending over and you see your butt dropping, this is not good. This means that you're squatting or you're sitting down, which again, it's kind of defeating the point of the RDL a little bit. Again, you're trying to work that posterior chain, your glutes, your hamstrings, your spinal erectors, and when you do a proper hip hinge, you're lengthening these muscles, which is where you're getting that work done. So again, if you're sitting down, you're not lengthening these as much as you can. And again, you're kind of turning it into a squat, which is a different exercise. So if you see your butt drop during the RDL, you're doing it wrong. So the best way to do, like I said, to fix this is to record yourself and just go slow. Push your hips back. Your hips should be going back. You should be bending over and not letting your butt drop. I think a common error here is I think people or beginners are afraid to actually bend over or hip hinge. The deeper you get into an RDL, the more your torso is going to be, incline, and there's going to be a point where your upper body is almost parallel with the ground. So don't be afraid to actually bend over and push your butt back, not down, and then just go slow. Record yourself, correct it, and again, just think hips back, butt back, not down. And the second or the third point, key point that's tied into this, which I mentioned a little bit ago, is you'll know if you're sitting down during the exercise is if your shins go forward or your knees go forward. For a barbell RDL, your shins should be virtually vertical, virtually straight up and down. There should be pretty much no noticeable forward knee travel or forward shin travel during a barbell RDL. If you start to see yourself sit in RDL and you're not really sure if you are, look at your shins. When you sit down during an RDL, it's going to make it, like I said, more squatty, and your shins are going to go a little bit forward, or your knees are going to go a little bit forward, and this isn't good. This is how you know you're turning it into a squat. And again, you're defeating the point of the movement to work that posterior chain of the body. So again, just go slow and watch your shins. So in combination with pushing your hips back and not down, not sitting, remember you want to be bending over, hinging at the hips. You also want to try and keep your shins vertical or straight up and down. Don't let your shins go forward. Don't let your knees go forward. And again, that's what's going to get the stretch on the hamstrings and glutes and to work those muscles properly. These 2 points going hand in hand. If your butt drops like a squat, your shins are going to go forward. If your shins stay vertical and they don't go forward and they stay straight up and down, then your hips have to go back. It's kind of like give and take with each one. So if you go slow, record yourself, and correct this movement, this is really going to help you master the barbell RDL. Combine this with the first tip, keeping the bar close to you. Again, you're going to have a really clean looking RDL, and if you master these 2 tips, it's going to help you get the best results from this exercise over the long run. If you guys have any questions, comments, leave them down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.